The floor by the sink sighs when you don't respect it. I learned the exact spot after moving in, half a step to the left, heel first, then the rest of me. The soft rot is under the vinyl, and I don't have the money or time to replace subfloor, so we make a truce. I move slow. It stays quiet. My name is Luna. I'm 31. I moved into my mom's single wide 8 months ago, the week after her hip replacement. Mom is Mary, 64, kind to a fault and allergic to conflict. My sister is Eliana, 35, older by 4 years and born believing clipboards should come with crowns. Dad's been out of the picture since I was 10. It's just us three, if you don't count the park office and whoever's name is on the meter. Here's the math that runs my days. Lot rent is $440 due on the first 5-day grace if Ernest in the office is feeling human. January, I handed over 180 to clear back fees so they wouldn't staple one of those neon notices to mom's window. In March, I bought an $89 can of roof sealant, Henry's from the hardware store, the one with the cartoon guy, and spent a Saturday on the ladder smearing it into hairline cracks around the vents. The water heater coughed itself to death in April. I found a scratch and dent for $350, wrestled it home in my hatchback with a bungee cord, and swapped it in with YouTube and a borrowed pipe wrench. There was another $27 in fittings and Teflon tape. I keep every receipt in a manila folder that lives in my tote, every date and check number jotted in blue ink along the margin. It's boring. It's also the difference between sleeping and listening for drips. Mom naps between pills and physical therapy exercises. When she's awake, she moves careful and says she doesn't want to be a burden, like that's a new thought. She knows where the good chair is under the fan and which window sticks after a hard rain. On good days, she hums radio jingles from the 90s. On bad days, she smiles like it will hold everything together. She trusts paper more than promises, but will still look away if someone raises their voice. We did the DMV piece last year in November when she was still on the walker and worried about what ifs. We sat at the UPS store counter under a rack of bubble mailers while a notary pressed a stamp into the mobile home title. She signed it over to me, and I filed it. The new title came in December with my name. The park lease got updated in January. Me as tenant, mom as an authorized occupant because Ernest said they like one person to hold responsible if money gets weird. Ernest is practical like that. He calls me kiddo once and then never again after I looked at him. Now it's Luna and a nod when I slide the rent across the counter. Jillian from Lot 7 is 2 doors down, a blonde bob and a cautious kindness that arrived with a screwdriver the first time she saw me on the roof. We trade favors like sugar and socket sets. She notices everything and says only half. I notice too. I notice the thermostat clicks exactly twice before the heat hums on. I notice the small tide line in the hallway where the swamp cooler dripped last summer. I notice the angle of sunlight on mom's folded blanket and how it changes slower than it should when you're waiting for news. Eliana's check ins are text bubbles and punctuation. How's mom? And then a photo of a brunch plate with a sprig of dill, her nails glossy, a gold ring catching the light. She lives in Phoenix in a condo with an elevator she calls my lift as a joke. We don't talk about money because she thinks it's tasteless, and I think it's teeth. I don't mind the grind most days. The thermostat works. The roof doesn't drip on mom anymore. The trailer smells like pine sol and laundry because that's what I can control. I keep a little notebook in the drawer by the sink, things like caulk window and replace furnace filter June written next to grocery lists and dozing times. The quiet math of holding a place together is soothing in a way, the way a balanced checkbook used to be when I had more zeros on the right side than the left. At 3:17 on a Wednesday in late May, my phone rings with Eliana's name. I think it's another "How's mom?" So I wipe my hands and answer on speaker. Her voice is bright, like a meeting just ended with applause. "I'm flying in," she says. "We need to talk about the trailer." Mom is dozing in the good chair, her mouth open just enough to show the gap where a crown used to be. I look at her, then at the cracked line in the ceiling I filled last month. "Okay," I say. "When?" "Next Friday." I'll text my flight. Got it? She hangs up without asking about mom's exercises or the roof or anything else that makes a place a home. I pull the wall calendar close, the one with pictures of barns mom likes. I circle next Friday in red and write, small, under the square so it doesn't shout, Eliana lands. 9 days later, Friday shows up hot and bright. The swamp cooler rattles like a loose button. I wipe down the little table, even though it's already clean, and move mom's walker so there's a clear path from the door. Eliana steps out of a rideshare in sunglasses and a linen blazer like she's arriving at a showing. She's got a big tote bag and a smaller one tucked under her arm. She kisses the air near mom's cheek, skirts the soft spot by the sink without knowing it, and starts a circuit of the trailer with her phone up. Wow, she says, like the word is a measuring tape. You've really made it functional. I live here, I say. Mom smiles up at her. Tea? I can put the kettle on. In a sec, Eliana says, already in the hall, opening doors like the place asked for inspection. Click, click. Photos of the built in drawers, the scuffed flooring, the window I caulked in March. She pauses at the thermostat. Is the AC working? The cooler works, heat works, roof doesn't leak. I keep my voice even. Facts are a language we both understand, even if we don't agree on what they mean. She pivots back to the living room. So, I've been running numbers. Market rate around here is 12 to 1500. Easy. She says market rate like it's a special spice only she has in her pantry. I have a friend who can move in next month. Real money, reliable. Mom blinks. Next month? Who? Natalie, Eliana says. You met her at my birthday. Short hair, cute glasses. She waves a hand. She's looking for a place. She'd be great, and it'll help with mom's expenses. I'm paying the rent now, I say. Lot rent is current. Utilities, too. Eliana smiles like she's explaining a concept to a nice stranger on a plane. You're house sitting, Luna. This is mom's asset. It can work for her instead of sitting idle. Behind us, mom tries again. Tea? No one answers her. The kettle sits quiet on the back burner, dented where it's always been dented. Eliana drops her tote with a soft thump on the couch and sets a stack of flattened boxes on the carpet. I brought these so we can start sorting. There's a lot of extras. She looks at the bookcase like it offended her. We're not renting this without going through the park, I say. Any new occupant has to be approved. Background check, paperwork. Ernest will tell you that. She lifts her chin. Obviously, we'd do it properly. Natalie has a job. She can pass whatever. The point is, this place can bring in. She glances around, mental calculator clicking. Let's say 1300. That's real money. The lease is in my name, I say. Mom's on it as an authorized occupant. I'm not bringing in a roommate. You're not a roommate. She softens her voice, practiced. Your family. You were incredible to step in during recovery. We just have to move to the next phase now. I look at Mom. Her hands are folded tight in her lap, knuckles white. She is watching the space between us like a weather map. The next phase, I say, is Mom getting stronger and not having strangers in her house. Eliana sighs like I've missed something obvious. Natalie isn't a stranger. She can move in the first. She's ready to pay first and last. We can't take first and last for something I'm not renting. Her mouth quirks. We'll talk through it. I'll handle the communication. You don't have to be the bad guy. Jillian passes the window with her little dog and gives a two-finger wave. Her eyes flick to the boxes, to Eliana's blazer, back to me. I nod. She keeps walking. Eliana does another lap, opening the hallway closet, peering into the pantry. Click, click. This will photograph so much better with the curtains open, she says, and yanks them back so the sun slashes in. Dust lifts in the beam like someone shook a snow globe. Mom flinches. Please don't. It's fine, Eliana says. We're just assessing. She opens the back door to the carport, props it with her hip, and hauls in another set of boxes she must have had the driver leave. We'll put donations by the door. Trash in one stack, keepers in another. I'll come back tomorrow with tape. Leave the boxes, I say. We're not starting anything today. We need to move quickly to capture market interest. She checks her watch. I have a call. I'll text you times. She's halfway out the door again when she turns back, all sugar. Oh, Natalie might swing by. I told her to start looking at her budget. Don't invite people into my home without asking, I say. Her smile chips. We'll finalize on Sunday, she says, like she's the judge. And I'm the calendar. You'll have 3 days. She leaves before I can answer, the heat folding in behind her. The boxes sit in the living room like mute witnesses. Mom looks at me. I don't like this, she says, very small. I know, I say. I take the kettle to the sink and fill it because that's a thing with a clear end. I set it on the burner and turn the knob until the tiny flame blooms. The trailer hums the way it always hums around 4 in the afternoon. At 9:12 that night, my phone buzzes. Her text is a neat little decree. We'll finalize on Sunday. You'll have 3 days. Sunday smells like ketchup and burnt edges. I pull the meatloaf from the oven and already know it's dry. Mom sets out mismatched forks and the good plates with the blue ring. Eliana scrolls her phone at the table like she's checking in with the board. We sit. Mom bows her head out of habit. No one says a prayer. The fan clicks once, thinking about wobbling. Eliana pushes her slice with the side of her fork. Okay, she says, bright as if she's opening a meeting. We need to finalize. Natalie is ready to move in on the first. I've told her we'll give you 3 days to vacate, so there's time to do a quick clean and photos. Mom looks at her peas like they might spell something. Her mouth tips into a smile that doesn't land. Maybe we should eat first, she says, almost whispering. I take a breath and keep my voice level. I live here. I'm not vacating. Eliana laughs a little, disbelief with a coat of sugar. Luna, we talked about this. You've been amazing, truly, but this is Mom's place. It needs to start supporting her. I reach down and pull the tote from under my chair. The manila folder slips into my hands, familiar as a potholder. I flip it open, find the 2 copies I made at the shipping store, and lay them on the table, side by side, the paper catching the light. This is the DMV title, I say. Signed and notarized last November. The new one came in December with my name on it. I tap the second sheet. This is the park lease, updated in January. Tenant, me. Authorized occupant, Mom. I slide them toward her. The pages move like cards in a quiet game. Eliana doesn't touch them at first. Then she snatches the title, scans it, flips it over looking for a trapdoor. Mom didn't understand what she was signing, she says. She was on a walker. They'll reverse it. Mom tips her head, eyes on the table. I knew, she says, so soft I almost miss it. I wanted it settled. Eliana keeps going. Regardless, the lot belongs to the park. We can rent the unit to Natalie. This, she gestures around, does not have to be a fight. It's not, I say. It's paperwork, and it says, this is my home. She reaches for the lease. You put yourself as tenant? Ernest did after Mom asked him to put me on. He said they like one name responsible. I don't apologize for being responsible. Eliana leans back, that smile that never warms. You can house sit somewhere else. Natalie's ready to bring a cashier's check for first and last. It's cleaner if you hand over keys now, and we'll arrange for your things to be moved. I look at the stack of empty boxes she left Friday, neat and hungry in the corner. You all have 24 hours to get your boxes out, I say. Or they go to the curb. Her head snaps up. Excuse me? The boxes, I repeat. They're not staying here, and no one is moving in. Not Natalie, not anyone else. Mom's fork clinks against her plate like a tiny bell. Girls, she says, voice thin. Please? Eliana points at the papers like she can puncture them. You can't just claim this because you printed a copy. This is Mom's asset. You're isolating her. I stack the papers again, slide them back into the folder. Mom sees her friends. She sees you when you come. She lives here with me. Nothing changes except I'm done pretending I don't have a say. Eliana exhales through her nose, recalibrating. I'll talk to Ernest, she says, and the park. They'll back me. Ernest backs the person with the right paperwork, I say. He told me that. He'll tell you that. Silence sits down with us. The meatloaf cools into something you could tile a bathroom with. Mom moves peas to one side and then back again. Eliana stands, chair legs scraping. This is not over. She lifts her bag, leaves the boxes. At the door, she turns, softer, like the camera's on. We all want what's best for Mom. Then stop using her to get your way, I say, before I can code it in anything nicer. The door shuts. The fan finally decides to wobble. Mom looks at me, eyes wet but not spilling. I hate when she talks like I'm not here. I know. I take her plate to the sink. Want toast? Butter fixes dry. She laughs, a small broken thing that reforms itself by the end. I make toast. We eat in the kind of quiet that isn't empty, just settling dust. After I wash the three plates and two forks we really used, I tuck the folder back into my tote and slide the tote under the chair again. I take the boxes one by one and stack them by the door where they have to look at us to be in our way. At 8:43, my phone lights up with an unknown number. The text is tight and cheerful. All business. Hi, it's Natalie. I'll be there at 10 a.m. with a cashier's check. At 9:58, a silver sedan idles in front of our steps, blinker ticking like a metronome. I'm already on the porch with my tote and the manila folder. Mom sits inside in the good chair with the TV low, cardigan wrapped tight. A woman in a blazer gets out, envelope in hand. She's shorter than I remember from Eliana's birthday, hair tucked behind one ear. Hi, she says, business bright. Natalie, I texted you last night. I got it. I keep my voice even. Before we go any further, you should see the paperwork. Ernest is on the sidewalk, hands in his pockets. I stopped by the office at 9:15 and said there might be confusion about occupancy. He nodded like he's been to this rodeo, told me he'd take a walk around the park about 10. Natalie follows my eyes to him. Hi, she calls, half wave. Morning, Ernest says. You folks need anything? I open the folder and hold out two copies. Title to the unit. Signed to me last November. Park lease. Tenant is me. Authorized occupant is my mom. No subletting without approval. And I'm not adding anyone. Natalie takes the papers like they might smear. Her eyes move left to right, then down to the signature lines. Eliana said, I know what Eliana said. I cut in, still calm. This is my home. Anyone living here has to be approved by the park and agreed to by me. I'm not agreeing. Ernest shifts his weight. Park policies posted by the office door. He says, voice mild. Any occupant needs an application, background check, and the tenant's consent. Current tenant is Luna. Natalie glances at the envelope, then at Ernest, then at me. The blinker keeps ticking. I don't want to get in the middle, she says, half to herself. I thought she said it was straightforward. It's not, I say. You should keep your money. She nods, backing toward the car. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Okay. She gets in without turning off the blinker. The sedan hesitates, then rolls away with the turn signal still clicking. Ernest tips his chin. You need anything else from me? I'm going to change the locks, I say. Just a heads up. Your unit, he says. Do what you need. He looks past me at the boxes Eliana left by the door. Those got to be out by tomorrow or they're trash. He doesn't wait for me to agree. We both know I already did. I drive to the hardware store 5 minutes away and grab a basic deadbolt and knob set, 3049 plus tax. Back home, I set the box on the coffee table. Jillian appears like she heard the idea form, a screwdriver in one hand and a little smile. You okay? She asks. Better than yesterday, I say. Help me for 10 minutes? She holds the door while I take the old hardware off. Two misfit screws fall to the floor and disappear under the mat. Jillian hands me the right bit without being asked. Mom watches from the chair, hands cupped around a mug she never drinks from when she's nervous. When the new deadbolt clicks into place, it sounds like a sentence ending correctly. I test the key twice. I hand one to Mom. No one gets a copy without us saying so. I tell her, okay? She nods, eyes on the key in her palm like it's heavier than it looks. I print a simple sign on the old inkjet that lives on the bookshelf. No trespassing. Residents only. Visitors by appointment. Under that, I type out a visiting schedule we agreed on last night when we couldn't sleep. Monday, Saturday, 10 a.m., 12 p.m., and 4 p.m., 6 p.m. Sunday, by text. So, you don't get ambushed, I told Mom, and she said thank you like a prayer. I tape both to the inside of the door at eye level. Jillian reads them, eyebrows up. Clear, she says. Good. I snap photos of the notices, the new locks, the boxes stacked by the door. Then I text Eliana. Boxes by noon tomorrow or curb. Natalie came by. She saw the title and lease and left. Do not invite people to my home. From now on, visits are within the posted hours. 3 dots appear. Nothing comes through. I put the phone face down. Mom shifts in the chair. Will she be mad? She already is, I say. This just gives her edges to bump into. We take the boxes she left and move them closer to the door, one by one. They're weirdly light, just cardboard waiting to be filled with a life that isn't cleaned out. Jillian tapes a loose corner with a strip from her pocket roll and gives me a look that translates to good for you without making a scene. The afternoon settles into its usual noises, the cooler humming, a lawnmower somewhere, the far off beep of the UPS truck at the park entrance. I make coffee. Mom picks at a crossword and draws little flowers in the margin when she can't think of 9 letter words. At 5:12, my phone buzzes with a voicemail from Eliana. No text, just that little red dot. I put her on speaker and set the phone on the table. Her voice lands like a thrown glass. You forged something. There's no way Mom signed that in her right mind. I'm bringing the police. This is elder abuse, Luna. You can't hide behind paperwork. I end the message and let the room be quiet. Mom looks at me, color draining. I reach for the tote, slide the folder out, and lay it on the table in plain view. Paperwork isn't hiding, I say. It's how we don't get steamrolled. Jillian taps the top of the folder with one knuckle. Call Ernest, she says. Let him know what's coming. I will, I say. I put the kettle on because that still has a clear end. Outside, the porch light clicks on with the sunset like it always does, steady and small. I call Ernest after the voicemail and tell him what she said. He sighs like he already has the park rule book open. I'll be around, he says. If she shows with cops, it's a civil standby. You show what you've got. Keep it calm. It's still Monday. The boxes are by the door, taped corners, neat because Jillian couldn't help herself. The new deadbolt feels stubborn in the best way. I put Mom's cardigan over her shoulders when the sun slips and turn on the porch light. At 6:42, gravel crunches. 2 patrol cars nose in behind a compact rental. Eliana gets out fast, hair smooth, face set. She points at our door before the officers have both feet on the ground. She's isolating my mother, she says to them, not to me. There's fraud. I need to get our property and check on my mom. One officer, older, reads the situation like it's a familiar script. The other is younger, eyes steady. They ask for names. I give them mine, hand over my ID. Eliana gives hers, chin high. Mom looks at me through the window and then comes out, wrapped in the cardigan like armor. Let's just take it one step at a time, the older officer says. Ma'am? To me, do you live here? Yes. I hold up the folder. I have the title to the unit and the lease with the park. My mom lives here with me. My sister is not a resident. She left boxes here Friday. I told her they needed to be out by tomorrow at noon. Eliana exhales like I've inconvenienced a plane. She forged the title. Mom was on a walker. She didn't understand. This is elder abuse. The younger officer keeps his voice neutral. Do you have documentation showing ownership and tenancy? I hand him the copies. Title with the notary stamp from November, the lease from January with Ernest's signature and the park header. I also show him my stack of rent receipts, the dates circled. No drama, just ink and signatures. Ernest walks up then, hands in pockets, nodding at the badges. Ernest, park manager, he says. Our records match those copies. Tenant's Luna. Only registered occupant besides her is Mary. Guests are by permission. No one gets to move in without an application and approval. Eliana pivots. I don't care about moving in right now. I want to see my mother and pick up my boxes. The older officer looks at me. She's allowed to retrieve her property if you're okay with that. We can stand by to keep the peace. I nod. She can take the boxes. Visits are during posted hours. I point to the inside of the door where the sign is taped, visible through the glass. We're within them until 6. It's 6:48 now. 10 minutes. After that, text to set a time. Eliana scoffs. She's making rules like a jailer. Mom steps closer to the rail. Her voice is small but even. Eliana, I live here. I'm okay. Please get your things and don't yell. Jillian materializes on the lot line with her dog tucked under her arm, pretending to inspect the hibiscus. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't need to. We hold the door while Eliana grabs the boxes, 2 trips, all huff and no eye contact. She knocks one into the door frame on purpose, a dent blooming in the cardboard. The younger officer stands to one side of the steps, calm as a bench, a presence more than a wall. When the last box is in her trunk, Eliana turns back. You will hear from an attorney, she says to me. Then, louder to the officers, make a note I was denied access to my elderly mother. The older officer tilts his head at Mom. Ma'am, are you okay? Do you want to leave with your daughter tonight? Mom's fingers tighten on the sweater edge. No, I'm staying here. He nods. Okay. This is a civil matter. We can't adjudicate property disputes on the spot. If you want to challenge title or tenancy, you'll need to do that through the court. He looks at Eliana. For tonight, you've picked up your items. If you're not welcome here after hours, don't come back outside the posted times. If you have an issue, call us instead of taking it into your own hands. Eliana's mouth opens and closes like a fish remembering its lines. She looks at Ernest. What about the park? Don't you have a say? I do, Ernest says. And I'm saying follow the rules. This lot's in good standing. Any more disturbances, and I start writing notices with names. She glares at me the whole way to the car. The door slams hard enough to echo. The patrol cars ease out, first one, then the other, light bars dark. Mom exhales like she's been holding her lungs hostage. I hate when she's like that, she whispers. I put my arm around her, feel the tremble in her shoulder blades. Inside, the quiet reassembles itself. The kettle whistles like it's late to a party. My phone starts chiming in bursts, the family group thread lighting up with long paragraphs from Eliana. Luna has isolated Mom. I had to get the police involved. We're correcting the paperwork. The cousins line up with emojis and question marks. A couple of them DM me little, Are you okay? Notes that feel like bandages thrown from a moving car. I mute the thread. I wash the 3 cups in the sink that aren't dirty. The motion helps. It always does. At 8:11, Mom sits at the little table and traces the pattern in the vinyl with her finger. Her hand shakes. Eliana wants me to move in with her, she says, eyes fixed on the swirls. She says you're making me choose. We sleep in pieces. By morning, the air feels like a held breath. I make eggs because they're fast and put the manila folder on the dinette like a centerpiece. Let's write it down, I say. Mom rubs her thumb along the edge of her mug. Write what down? What you want? Visits? Keys? The stuff that turns into fights if it's just talking. She nods, eyes on the table. Okay. I pull a sheet of printer paper and a pen. We keep it simple. I write what she says, slow so she can read as we go. I, Mary Graham, live at lot number and address. I choose to continue living here with my daughter Luna. Family and friends may visit during the posted visiting hours unless we agree otherwise in writing for a specific date. No one has permission to hold keys to my home unless I sign a note allowing it with a start and end date. No one may store items here unless we agree in writing with a start and end date. I add a line. If I want help making changes to these rules, I will say so in writing. We both sign and date it. I print our names underneath so there's no wobble. I call the shipping store. You still have a notary this morning? The kid at the counter says yes, $10 per signature. We grab IDs and go. In the car, Mom is quiet, fingers folded around her purse like it might try to get away. She doesn't need the walker anymore. Not really, but she takes it on days when her hip feels talkative. Today she brings her cane and moves careful, steady. The UPS store smells like toner and cardboard. We've been here before, under the rack of bubble mailers. The same notary as November, a guy with a trimmed beard and the patience of a post office line. He checks our IDs, asks if we understand what we're signing. Mom says, yes. He stamps and signs, the rubber seal pressing down with a sound like a decision. I pay $20 plus tax. He slides the originals back in a clear sleeve. Need copies? Two, please. I tuck one into the folder, one into my tote pocket where I keep the rent receipts. The original stays flat in the sleeve like it wants to behave. Back at the park, Ernest is in the office behind the glass, a fan aimed at his neck. I hold up the sleeve. Can you put this in the file? He reads it, lips moving once. Good, he says, and makes two copies for himself. If the police get called again, this helps. He taps the date. You want me to note this on the lot? Yes. He writes something on a form, slides it into a folder with our lot number tab. You need anything else? We're okay, I say. He nods like he believes me. At home, I tape the original to the inside of the door under the visiting hours. It looks boring and official, which is the point. Mom traces the notary seal with one finger. I don't like conflict, she says, the words worn smooth from use. I know. I touch the paper. Boundaries are quiet when everyone follows them. We have grilled cheese for lunch because the stove beats the microwave when you want to taste something. Jillian texts me a photo at 1:37, the park entrance sign with a U-Haul under it, Eliana's rental tucked behind. Her caption is just, heads up. My phone buzzes again. Another from Jillian. She's got two guys with her. One has a dolly. Want me to come sit? I text back, yes, please. On the porch is fine. Mom watches me watch the phone. What now? Looks like she's bringing help, I say. I slide the folder onto the coffee table and stack the pieces in the order I'll need. Lease, title, mom's letter, receipt copies. I put the spare key on the hook by the door and touch the deadbolt just to feel it be there. We hear them before we see them, engine noise low and stubborn, gravel popping under tires. Jillian settles on our steps with her dog, a paperback open, but not really being read. Ernest walks the long way around, which is his version of arriving on purpose, clipboard in hand. The U-Haul parks catty corner to our lot like it wants to claim space. The door rolls up with a rattle and a clatter. I catch a flash of a rolled rug, some plastic bins, a flat pack shelving unit. Eliana's car noses in behind, crisp as a pressed shirt. Mom stands up, smoothing her cardigan like that could smooth the afternoon. Do I need to go inside? She asks. You can stay where you're comfortable, I say. We're just saying the same things again, but with more people watching. A box hits the gravel hard enough to puff dust. Someone jiggles the knob like the new lock is being rude. I open the door before the pounding starts. The deadbolt stays thrown. I step onto the stoop with the folder in my hand. The sun is high and bright, the kind of light that makes every scuff look like a story. Eliana is at the bottom of the steps with two movers and a printed paper in a plastic sleeve. She lifts it like a flag. We're doing this, she says, voice the smooth version she uses for clients. The movers look at each other, then at me, waiting for the next line. Jillian clears her throat. Ernest stops at the property line, eyes on the paper in Eliana's hand, then on the sign taped to my door. I take a breath, feel the edges of the folder, and meet Eliana's eyes. No, I say, we're going to do this the right way. Eliana lifts the plastic sleeve like it's a badge. Here's the lease, she says, pronouncing each word. I'm the landlord. Natalie moves in on the first. She tries the knob again. The new deadbolt doesn't care. I keep my feet on the top step and hold the folder at my side. You don't have a lease to give, I say. The unit title is in my name. The park lease is in my name. No one is moving in. She flicks the paper toward the movers. Start with the bedroom, she tells them. We'll stage it. Photos today. One of the guys looks at Ernest. He's standing just off our lot, clipboard under his arm. Fellas, Ernest says, easy but firm, don't bring anything onto this lot. You don't have permission to enter. Park rules say no move-ins without approval. The mover closest to the truck drops his eyes. The other shrugs and waits. Two neighbors drift toward the mailboxes like they forgot what their keys look like. Jillian sits halfway down the steps with her dog tucked under her arm, book open, eyes up. I open the folder and read it out loud, one page at a time, because sometimes hearing it matters. Mobile home title transferred to me last November, notarized at the UPS store. Park lease updated in January. Tenant, me, authorized occupant, my mom, and a notarized letter from my mom. Visits by the posted hours, no keys without written permission, no storage without dates. I hold them where Eliana can see the stamps, the park header, the dates. She doesn't look. You bullied her, she says, louder for the audience. She didn't know what she was signing. Mom steps behind me, one hand on the door frame. Her cardigan is smoothed within an inch of its life. I knew, she says, steady. Stop saying I didn't. Eliana thrusts the plastic sleeve higher. This is legal, she says, of her printed page. Ernest finally takes his clipboard from under his arm and pulls out a form with a red stripe. He clicks his pen. Eliana, I'm issuing you a park trespass warning, he says, calm as a cashier. You're not a resident. You don't have the tenant's permission to be on the lot. If you step onto this space again without permission, we'll ask law enforcement to enforce the trespass. She laughs, short and ugly. Are you kidding me? He writes her full name. He has it from last night's call. And the date. He tapes the notice to the corner of our carport post with bright blue painter's tape because that's what he has. This isn't personal, he adds. It's rules. Eliana steps forward anyway, foot on the first step like she's claiming altitude. I stay where I am. Visiting hours are 4 to 6, I say, nodding at the sign through the glass. It's 2:30. You can talk to Mom on the porch right now or text to schedule a visit. No one is entering to stage anything. She pulls out her phone with a jerk. Fine, police can decide. She taps fast, thumb angry. You can't hide behind your little papers forever. We don't. We just stand there, the sun hammering the rail warm under my fingers. The movers edge back toward the truck, trading a look that says, no one paid us enough for this. Two patrol cars roll in within 5 minutes, slower this time, like they already know the terrain. Same older officer, same younger one. They take in the crowd, the tape notice, the plastic sleeve in Eliana's hand. What's the situation? The older one asks. Same as last night, I say, gesturing with the folder. She's trying to move someone in. I'm the tenant and owner of the unit. The park has posted a trespass warning. The younger officer takes the copies, scans the stamps and signatures he's already seen. He nods at Ernest. Park trespass warning? Ernest hands over his clipboard. The officer reads, gives it back. Eliana waves her paper. I have a lease. Ma'am, the older officer says, patient. You can't lease what you don't own. This is a civil matter for the court if you want to challenge title or tenancy. For today, you can't force entry. A white hatchback slows at the end of the street, then again when the driver sees the uniforms. Natalie. She takes in the U-Haul, the posted notice, me on the stoop with the folder. She keeps going, eyes straight ahead, brake lights winking once like she changed her mind at the last second. Mom steps forward one half step until she's next to me. She clears her throat, and the neighbor by the mailbox pretends to need two hands for the lock. I will visit here on the schedule, Mom says, and her voice carries in a way it hasn't in weeks. I'm not moving. Stop using me to get your way. It lands. For a second, everything around the sentence goes quiet. The movers roll the U-Haul door down halfway on instinct. Eliana's jaw works, recalibrating through options she doesn't have. She sets the plastic sleeve on the gravel like maybe the ground can absorb it. Two lamps, already cracked where they bumped each other in the truck, sit beside it. She leaves them there. Ernest points with his pen. You can't dump on park property, he says. That's a fine. I'll write it up and send it to the address you provided last night. He doesn't add that he wrote it down when the officers took everyone's info. He doesn't have to. She snaps, bill it to Luna, and then seems to hear herself. The younger officer shakes his head once. Don't, he says, not unkind. Don't make this worse. The older officer keeps it simple. You've been warned for trespass. If you come back without permission, you can be cited. If you want to pursue legal action, do it through the court. Eliana looks at each of us like we're failing a test, she wrote. Then she jerks her head at the movers. We're done, she says, bitter as burnt coffee. They slide the door down the rest of the way. The latch bangs closed. The U-Haul rumbles, then shifts into gear. The cracked lamps stay on the gravel like punctuation. Ernest tears his yellow copy off the pad and tucks the white one into his clipboard. He gives me a small nod that reads like good job without words. When the truck pulls away and the rental car follows, the street exhales. The dog in Jillian's lap shifts and sighs. The two neighbors suddenly remember their mail and head back inside. I lock the deadbolt from habit even though the door hasn't opened. The sound is clean. The afternoon light turns ordinary again, the kind that just falls on steps and rails without meaning anything extra. The quiet that follows isn't dramatic, it's the kind that lets the cooler hum and the neighbor's windmill spin and the gravel settle back into place. The two broken lamps sit where Eliana left them, glass shades spidered and cords frayed. I take photos from three angles and email them to the park office with the subject line, Dumped items, lot number. Ernest replies in 6 minutes, tagging for pickup. Fee will be billed to the responsible party. He doesn't have to say her name for me to see it typed on a form. Mom stands with me on the steps. Do we throw them away? Park will, I say. They'll charge her. She nods and leans into the rail. It's warm from the sun. I'm tired, she says. Me too. We go inside. I lock the deadbolt without looking. The sound is normal now, not a statement. That evening, I set up autopay on the park portal. Lot rent 440 to draft on the first, confirmation email pinging my inbox like a tiny bell. I move the manila folder from the coffee table to under the sink, where I keep the extra trash bags and the flashlight that works if you shake it. It feels right there, close, boring, ready. Jillian knocks once and steps in with two small hooks and a dollar store wind chime. Found this in my junk drawer, she says. It wants a home. We hang it under the carport eave, a little to the left of the porch light so it won't bang the siding. It sounds better than it looks, three notes that find each other when the air moves. Jillian eyes the lamps and the taped notice on the post. Ernest'll ding her, she says. He hates dumping. He already wrote it up, I say. She squeezes my shoulder, dog under her other arm like a loaf of bread. Call if you need a witness again, she says, and means it. In the morning, a fluorescent orange tag flaps from the lamp pile. Park removal scheduled. The fee line is blank on our copy, like a bill with the name torn off. By noon, the maintenance cart swings by. Two guys in neon shirts loading the lamps into the bed without comment. Later, Ernest slips an envelope under our mat. A copy of the violation notice for your records. I file it, because of course I do. Natalie texts at 10:23. Hey, I'm out. Didn't realize the situation. Hope your mom's okay. I type back, "Thanks for understanding. Please don't come by." She sends a thumbs up and nothing else. Thread closed. The family group thread keeps pinging in batches, but mom surprises me by asking for my phone. She scrolls, jaw set, then types slow with one finger. "I live with Luna. I chose this. Visits are during the posted hours. No keys will be given out. Please don't ask her to make exceptions." That's all. She sends it and then hands my phone back. "Can we mute it?" she asks. I show her the little crossed out bell. We both breathe easier. On Thursday at 4:02, Eliana texts mom directly. "I'll come by for a visit." Mom looks at me. "Okay?" she says. "Okay," I say. I sit at the dinette with a book I don't read while they talk on the porch about safe things, weather, a show they both pretend to like. Eliana keeps her feet on the gravel, eyes flicking once toward the sign on the door and once toward the carport where the lamps were. When 5:58 glows on the microwave clock, Mom says, "I'm going to rest now," and Eliana nods and leaves without testing the knob. The boundary holds. It isn't triumphant. It's just a line on the ground we both can see. Friday, I run a bead of clear caulk along the back window where the rain likes to find trouble. The water heater hums its steady hum. I change the furnace filter because the little notebook by the sink says, "June and I respect my own handwriting." Mom waters the spider plant and hums a jingle I haven't heard since I was 12. Sunday, I make meatloaf again. Extra ketchup, a splash of milk in the mix so it doesn't bake into a brick. The oven clicks as it preheats. Mom sets out the blue ring plates without waiting to be told. We eat at the small table. No one schedules anything. No one declares anything. She asks if the chime is too loud at night. I tell her it's perfect. After dishes, I take the folder out to add the auto pay confirmation and the copy of the park violation. Mom watches me slide it back into its spot under the sink. "You're very organized," she says. It's almost a tease. "It's easier to be brave when the paper is in order," I say. She smiles and doesn't argue. We sit on the steps for a while, watching a stray cat make its route under the skirting and Jillian argue half heartedly with her sprinkler. The porch light clicks on with the first shade of evening. Somewhere down the row, a kid laughs. The wind chime answers with two soft notes. Inside, I lock the deadbolt. The click is just a click. The trailer hums the way it does when it's content. Cooler steady, fridge cycling, water heater quiet. I put the calendar back on the wall and circle nothing. The space stays empty, like a room you cleaned and decided to keep that way. Mom yawns. "Good night, baby," she says, the way she did when the hallway was shorter and I was smaller. "Good night," I say. I turn off the kitchen light and let the place be what it is, ours, on purpose.